So I want to share with you the one question that will reveal serious bias. Because in the previous video, we talked about how you can actually start recognizing whether someone who's messaging you is actually serious about solving their problem. And then the big signal we talked about was like just paying attention to what somebody has already tried. But I want to go a little bit deeper into that today because when Nic explained this in the training, it really made me stop and think. There is one very simple question that you could ask in a conversation that actually reveals a huge amount about someone and where they're at right now. Okay. And the question is this itself. It's really simple. You could just ask something like, out of curiosity, what have you already tried to solve this? Now, when I first heard that, it almost sounded too simple. Most good things are, though, from Nic. But the more I thought about it, the more I realised how powerful that question actually could be. Because what you're actually doing is inviting someone to talk about their experience to this point. And people usually are very comfortable doing that. And now compare that to asking someone like, what's your budget? Or asking questions about money too early in a conversation. I don't know about you, but as soon as somebody asks me about money, I feel really uncomfortable. I feel like I'm about to be sold to. And, people often feel like they're being evaluated. And it's natural for your guard to go up. The conversation just changes. The whole mood changes. But when you ask somebody, what they've tried already, especially if you're doing it with empathy, you tend to find that something very different happens. Most of the time, they'll start explaining their journey. And some people even go through things like, let's go back to health. Oh, I've worked with a couple of personal trainers in the past. I've paid for different programs. I've tried different nutritional habits. And you just go through the list of things, okay? And you just listen and just nod. Or, if you're on a DM, just listen. But when you hear things like, I've invested quite a bit trying to solve this problem, you know that the answers are basically telling you that this is very important to them and they're looking to actually solve their problem. And if you have that solution, you know that they're in the right place because they're no longer just casually browsing because they've got an idea that they want to do something this week. Their actual behavior of trying all these things actually shows real commitment. I mean, sometimes, though, you can hear a very different type of answer. Someone might say things like, well, I've been watching a few of your videos, or, oh, I've read a few articles on this and I like the sound of it, or, I don't know, I've seen a few TikTok videos and it looks cool. I'm kind of quite interested. Or, I've tried a couple of things. Tried is usually, a key word there. But it usually tells you that they're still exploring. They're not quite ready to buy yet. And they haven't yet committed to solving their problem that they have yet. And that's completely okay too. It just tells them where they are on their journey right now. But here's the part that really stuck with me from what Nic was explaining in this particular training. The answers to this question don't just tell you how serious someone is. They're also telling you how that they are approaching to solve this problem. Some people buy tools. Some people like to study principles. Some people want community. And some people just like to try and figure everything out for themselves, or they want to work with someone solo. And when you start listening for those patterns, you begin to understand your market much more deeply because you'll see the patterns. Because people often say one thing about themselves, but their behavior is what's telling you the story. And this is where the skill really becomes interesting if you can listen. Think about it like this. You're not interrogating somebody. What you're doing is you're actually learning how people think about solving their problem that you can help with. And you're going to start hearing things like their frustrations. You're going to hear what they've already been trying. You're going to hear what hasn't worked for them. And very often they're going to use the exact language that your whole market is using right now, which is incredibly valuable for you. Because think about this. You can use that language later in your own marketing, in your own messaging, and in the way that you explain what you do right now. So what seems like a very simple question and a simple DM actually could do a lot of work for you to help you progress and find the people who need what you've got and help you to stand out to them. It also helps you to recognize people's seriousness. It actually helps you to understand their mindset as well. And it helps you to understand the people who you are looking to help much more clearly, which will help you to be able to talk to those people some more. Now, if this idea is useful for you, the next video in this series I'm going to create in this playlist is why asking about money too early can actually damage the whole sales process in DMs and create that resistance where people just ghost you. But once you understand how that works, you're going to find your conversations with potential clients so much easier, and you'll actually enjoy it, and so will they.